Spectacular. The purple and gold now have lost 4 straight. Of course, Anthony Davis has not been available, though. So, Stephen A., are you giving L.A. a pass last night just based on all the injuries they've been dealing with?
For me personally, no. If you want to go first, Max, I'll let you. But for me personally, I'm not giving the Lakers a pass. Not based off of what I saw last night. Max, if you want to go first, go ahead, because I got a lot to say. But go ahead, Max.
Well, I would just say, I mean, it makes no difference to me. If you want to respond to it, then the answer is yes, of course they get a pass. Of course they get a pass because this team was constructed top heavy. They don't have a big 3. They got a big 2. Not just a big 2, a giant 2, an MVP 2, an historically great 2. But what that means is the rest of the roster is going to be a little thinner than some other rosters. Now, I know you look at when LeBron and AD are there, they don't look thin. They have a lot of guys doing a lot of things, but the presence of those two enable those guys to do those things. You know who else isn't there? Dennis Schroeder. And the thing about any team is you need several players who can do the following. They have to be able to get you into your offense and go get their own shot. If they can't create that way in those two ways combined, really, you got a problem. No team has no one like that in their offense. They wouldn't be able to play in the league. The Lakers really have 2 guys like that in the offense, LeBron and Schroeder. Why is LeBron playing so many minutes? Because without Schroeder, they got 1 guy, and now they don't have AD. So all those complementary pieces, it's not the same. You know, I love Talen Horton-Tucker, and he can create for himself, but is he going to really create for others? Everyone else is a role player to one degree or another, to one degree of effectiveness or another in their role, but they're role players. And so you really look at LeBron and a bunch of role players in a long season without the only other guy who can create and get you into the offense, without the other big 2 on his prime partner on a top-heavy team, and then they run into a buzzsaw. The Jazz are the hottest team in the league, playing the most perfect basketball in the league, and the Lakers are on the road. Yeah, they get a pass for last night.
I can't give them a pass, Max Kellerman, because I'm just looking at the manner in which they got destroyed. And we're going to get into the Utah Jazz a little bit later, but I will say this to America. The Utah Jazz have hit 53 pointers in the last 2 games. No team in NBA history, not even the Golden State Warriors, have done that. This team is scary. And I'm not going to lie, Max, I didn't see it. You know, we just had this conversation a couple of weeks ago when you were raving about the Utah Jazz. I didn't see it. I'm looking at Donovan Mitchell, and I said, I got to see it to believe it. I got to see it to believe it. I got to see it to believe it. And I look at the Lakers last night, and the reason why I don't give them a pass, it's not just because the Jazz were making shots. It's how little resistance they posed. You know what? You can struggle without Anthony Davis and Dennis Schroeder offensively. What's the excuse defensively? This is a Frank Vogel defensively coached team. Frank Vogel knows a thing or two about coaching defense. That's why he got the head coaching job to begin with, even though he wasn't the Lakers' first choice, because of the job that he did in Indiana all of those years when they were trying to compete for an Eastern Conference crown against LeBron James and Dwayne Wade's Miami Heat. But in the end, I look at the Los Angeles Lakers. Just because Anthony Davis and Dennis Schroeder's not there doesn't mean that you're supposed to forget how to play defense. Stay in front of your man. Stay with your man. Not letting everybody have a damn layup line, for crying out loud, or get wide open 3-point shots. Where's the defensive intensity? Where's the pride? Where's the pride? And I'm not talking about LeBron James. I'm not talking about him at all, because the man shows up. And let's give credit where credit is due. He just didn't have any help. I'm looking at everybody else in between. I'm looking at a Morris. I'm looking at a Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. I'm looking at an Alex Caruso. I'm looking at all of these other guys. I'm just saying, defense for the most part is about effort. And when the Jazz show up, I understand that Rudy Gobert is a force. I understand that Donovan Mitchell is a stud. Mike Conley Jr. didn't miss a shot in the first half. Okay? And I'm just looking at them right now. At halftime, the Utah Jazz had went 6 quarters, hitting 43 threes. I understand that's a problem until I'm looking and I'm saying, damn, how much more wide open can they be? Now, there's a lot that goes into that. And again, we'll get into that when we get into the subject on the Utah Jazz. But in the end, I'm going to look at the Los Angeles Lakers. You're champions. And yes, a regular season game, and I'm not going to overblow it. I'm simply talking about, if you know you don't have Anthony Davis, and you know you don't have Dennis Schroeder, and Rajon Rondo is no longer there, and Dwight Howard is no longer there, and JaVale McGee is no longer there, I'm going to blame one or two things. I'm going to blame effort, or I'm going to blame Rob Pelinka because you can't lose both of McGee and Dwight Howard, even though Montrezl Harrell is what you added to the mix. You can't. It's either effort or it's the fact that those dudes ain't there and you have no rim protection whatsoever. It's one or the other. But either way you slice it, as good as Utah is and as good as they look, it's about the Lakers too. And as we sit here and talk about the Lakers, Max, that's what I walk away looking at. Effort or, you let two bigs get away that you shouldn't have let get away.
But KCP, Caruso, everybody, you got to step up, especially with also in Schroeder's absence. The fact is they're missing two of their three best players. If you had to take a third best player on the team, certainly a third most important player, to me it's Schroeder. They don't have AD and they don't have Schroeder. That's one. Two, remember when I said there's a silver lining in AD's injury provided he comes back as AD? Because you're right when you say he better come back as AD. They ain't going to beat the Nets. That's right. But maybe not the Jazz. But provided he comes back as AD, what I say, LeBron in Cleveland and in Miami, in recent years, last 6 or 7 years, early in the season, he's trying to figure out what he needs to do to lead a group of guys to the promised land, because he's in the finals every year. So he always figures it out. But early on, sometimes we'll see, remember back in the day, the Heat don't have a great record. The Cavs don't have a great record because he's figuring it out. He needs to know who I can rely on, like who can LeBron rely on? What positions does he need to put them in so if they fail at one thing, they can succeed at another? And he usually takes it's an incubation period, basically, with LeBron. I think we're also seeing that. There's some fatigue, yes. You're right, some guys need a little more effort would be nice. But really, it's AD's not there, and Schroeder's not there, and LeBron's trying to figure the rest of these guys out. And they're on the road. They ran into a buzzsaw. Stephen A., they get a pass from me.
Like I said, I'm never going to give anybody pass when I'm questioning your effort. When I'm questioning your effort, particularly on the defensive side of the ball, see, offense is about skill. It's not just about effort. It's about talent/skill. That's what it's about. Defense primarily is about effort, particularly now. If Donovan Mitchell had exploded for 50 points, Max Kellerman, we have a different discussion here. He's just a stud, and there's nothing you can do about it. But he's got 18. Mike Conley's got 16 to 18. Bogdanovich got 15. You know what I'm saying? They hit about 23 threes, and, just spreading the ball around, people wide open, standing in the corner, taking pictures, calling their girls before they take a three-point shot and what have you. It's like, damn, where you at? Did you even show up to Utah? Did you not know this was going to be a primetime game? Nationally televised. You didn't know? You didn't see it coming? You got to show up. Got to show up.
And Stephen A., I'm looking at this Jazz. I'm looking at the Jazz schedule right now. Let me just reel off some of the names, because the only team they lost to recently were the Clippers, and that was the Clippers at full force for the first time in forever, right? Okay, and that was a close game after they beaten the Clippers. So the Jazz beat the Celtics, beat the Bucks, beat the Heat, who are resurgent right now, beat the Sixers, the best team in the East,
lost to Brooklyn,
beat the Clippers before they lost to them, and they beat them by a wider margin than they lost to them, destroyed the Hornets, and then just destroyed the Lakers. In other words, this is a ridiculously hot team. You said it yourself. 53s in 2 games. This didn't all come against the Lakers. They just ran into a buzzsaw at the worst possible time.
All right, so let's go there, because the Jazz are the best team in the NBA right now, according to their record. They've won 22 of their last 24. Max, do you believe that they're the best team in the NBA at this moment?
Right now, yes, they're the best team in the NBA, and they're playing the best basketball. They've replaced the Lakers since AD went down. Remember, not that long ago, I kept saying it, the Lakers are the only team in the league absolutely elite on offense and defense. You heard Stephen A. just now. They ain't elite on defense right now, let alone on offense. You know who they've been replaced by? The Utah Jazz. Top 5 offensive and defensive efficiency. No one else in the